Is there anybody out there who regrets going MGTOW? Or do you know of anyone who regrets going MGTOW? Think for a minute. When you weigh the pros and the cons, when you think of the things that you've given up while going your own way, and put them on a scale next to the things that you've gained, would you change your decision and go back however many years ago it was and take the blue pill instead of the red pill? Nobody wants to reach the final years of their life and feel the pain of regret. It's one of the things that scares me the most, personally. You'll hear stories, for example, of the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, who suffered a mental breakdown during his final years until his death. It's not known for sure exactly what caused it. Some would say it was due to overwhelming regret after having lived a life professing that God is dead and trying to remove objective morality from philosophy, but nobody knows for sure. I don't claim to know. And if you're an atheist on here, you don't need to get all worked up over me saying this, because that's not the point of this video. The point is that it seems there was something he regretted. His final words were reported as, "Mother, I am stupid. I don't want to get to the end of my life and feel like I was stupid as well." Okay, so what does this have to do with MGTOW? I personally don't know of any bachelors and unmarried men who regret being single. The closest I hear is when a guy starts getting older and he wants to have children but can't, or hasn't had the opportunity to. He might feel as if his family lineage isn't being carried on, or that he's going to leave the world without a legacy. But I don't hear regret specifically in reference to not having a wife. I'll also on occasion hear about feelings of loneliness. There's a bunch of MGTOW videos about this on YouTube. The general consensus is that this loneliness is temporary and it comes and goes. Also, it's been brought up that men in relationships can feel the same amount of loneliness. One only needs to think about the famous quote by Robin Williams where he said, "I used to think that the worst thing in life was to end up alone. It's not. The worst thing in life is to end up with people who make you feel alone." End quote. Even when you factor in not having kids or being lonely on occasion, I don't see any guys with true regret for not having married. The people I do hear regret from, though, are guys who have been married, usually for decades. These guys usually say they are a shell of their former selves. Even if they do feel a certain degree of satisfaction for having stayed together, for better or for worse, or having raised children and experienced the joys of fatherhood, it doesn't seem like it outweighs the years of being a beast of burden, or a pack mule, and trying to keep a nagging wife pacified. I get the impression that it's not the children that drag these guys down either, if you know what I mean. But I'm open to having my mind changed. If you're a guy that is happily married for several decades and can 100% tell me that you would marry your wife all over again, tell me your story. I'll listen to it. But I'll only believe you if your wife isn't around, though. Everyone knows that guys sing a different tune when the boss is around. They'll say, "Oh yeah, married life is great. I'm the luckiest guy there is." Then when hanging with the boys, they'll be complaining the whole time about the honey-do list that they have, and that they can't even spend 5 minutes to themselves alone in peace. Looking back on my own life, my experiences have been similar. Yes, there were a few things that I admittedly enjoyed about marriage. I found a wife who was pretty attractive. I was not in a sexless marriage, unlike some guys find themselves in. And I liked being around my children each day. But overall, I found marriage suffocating and insufferable. There are times where I actually feel like maybe it wasn't even my ex specifically, but rather my incompatibility with that lifestyle. I hated playing house. I hated being a pack mule. There were things that I wanted to do, but somehow her and her family always trumped it all. What I wanted didn't matter. As a married man, you come after the children, the in-laws, the friends, and even the dog. I used to think it was my ex, and sure, maybe she was a bit more hard to deal with than the average, but the more I talked to fellow MGTOWs, the more I realized that my experience was typical. In fact, I can't tell you how many comments I get on my videos where guys say something like, "No way, I thought I was the only one." Or, "Wow, I thought I was the only person whose wife got angry at them when I got sick." Anyway, life isn't always black or white. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that life is all a bed of roses now. There are days or moments of weakness where I do long for my old life, sure. And maybe that makes me closer to the blue pill side. Maybe there's still a trace of blue pill inside me. But at least I'll get on here and I'll admit it. We are human beings, and whether you like it or not, this is wired into us. It's not going away. You can't just eliminate your biology and programming. Even PUAs, if they were honest, would say they don't always find satisfaction in their seemingly carefree, no strings attached lifestyle. There is simply no perfect system. That's the life we are living. There's no perfect solution. But at the end of the day, as long as you can feel like you're on the right path, maybe 75% of the time, and just find a way to get through the other 25% by keeping yourself busy with projects or maybe spending time with family and friends. That is enough to get me by, and it's enough for me to say that I don't regret this MGTOW life. I couldn't have it any other way.